What's up, everyone? Chaos Control Media here, and I'm going to talk to you guys about Scratch today. Now, what is Scratch? It's a block based programming language developed by MIT that you can use to make art, posters, slideshows, and video games. It's also a good way to introduce people to the basic concepts of coding and computer science. If you create an account, you can save and share your projects across the internet. Whether you create an account is up to you. I would suggest creating one so that you can come back to your previous work. Alright, so to get started, you would go up here and click on Create. Once you do that, it loads and then this window pops up. So we've got our main window with our blocks on the left side and our character on the right side. And if you hover down here, you'll see a couple of parameters. So here you have the name for the sprite. You can change this. In my case, I'll just put chaos. And if I put that, you can see it changes. We can change the size. We can make it bigger or smaller. If I put 200, make it twice as big. And direction 90, that's the natural direction the sprite is facing. And down here, you see we have options to choose more sprites and choose backdrops. So I'll go down here, I'll change this backdrop. One of my favorites is this nebula, so I'm going to go with that. And as you can see, we have a backdrop. We can go down here to choose sprites. As you can see, we have an assortment. We have the cat over here. We got cheesy puffs, a couple of characters. You can also hover up here and search for a character as well, or any object. So let's say I wanted a ball. So now you see all the options for balls and people pop up, right? So to get out of this menu, you would just go back. And now let's go over the blocks. Alright, so our motion category basically deals with movement, moving the character forward or backward, rotating the character, having a follow your mouse around, and a couple more. So next up we have our looks category, which deals with having the character say or think something. And it also deals with the costumes, which are different pictures, which we can go over more at another time. Next up, we have our sound blocks, which deal with just playing sounds, changing volume and pitch. Next up, we have our event blocks, which we usually use if we want to start a program or have a sprite start doing something. So, for example, if I grab this one space key pressed, and then I go to motion, and I say move 10 steps. Now when I press the space key, the character moves forward. So next up we have our control blocks, which deal with having the program or the sprite make a decision. So we can have it do something forever. We can have it repeat something a couple of times. We can have it wait a couple of seconds before doing something. We can make the sprite or the program do something based on some kind of condition. And we can also create clones. And next up we have our sensing category, which deals with collision detection. Like, let's say I would use this touch and color green, and I would have had something green on this screen over here. I can make the cat do something if it touches that. Next up, we have our operators, which deals with if you want to do any kind of math, if you want to divide two numbers. This is good if you want to have the player guess a number between 1 and 10 in some kind of game you're making. Now, a variable is basically a label for information that is meant to change or keep track of information. Think of a score in a video game or how much money you have. So let's say I wanted to make a variable and I wanted to call him, let's just say Tim, right? I'll leave it on for all sprites. We can talk about this at another time, but I'll just leave it on for all sprites. Just press OK. Now, you see that there's a 0 here, What does that look like? Kind of like a score from a video game, right? So I can do other things with this variable, but I'll go over that in another video. And finally, we'll go over this My Blocks category, where you click down here and you go to where it says Make a Block, and you have different options now. Add an input number of text, add an input boolean, meaning checking if something's true or false, or add a label. In our case, we'll just keep this label and we'll change it to, let's just say spin. So if I wanted the character to spin round and round, I will go to control, because remember I said this dealt with conditions. So I would grab this forever block, and then I would go to motion because that deals with movement, and I would grab the turn 15 degrees. So now when I click the block, the character just spins round and round. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's the first time I've ever made a tutorial. And if you liked what you saw, then be sure to subscribe for more. And until then, accept the darkness within you.